And we are first focused on the terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir, the first big one after a new government has come into power. The doctor who has been killed along with 6 migrant workers were killed after these terrorists struck a tunnel construction site. And this happened on the Srinagar-Leh National Highway in Jammu and Kashmir's Gandarbal district. The terrorists had opened fire on a camp that was housing these workers of a private company. They were working on an under-construction tunnel in the Gand area, which connects Gaganir to Sonmarg in central Kashmir's Gandarbal district. And this tunnel is strategically important for defense. The tunnel is going to provide all-weather connectivity to people and, of course, the Indian Army that is stationed in Ladakh. We got in a word from the newly elected Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. Omar Abdullah had this to say about the terror attack.
कई सारे कीमती जानें छीनी गईं और कुछ लोग ज़ख्मी भी हुए। इस हमले की जितनी निंदा की जाए, जितना इसके खिलाफ बोला जाए कम है। बेगुनाहों के खिलाफ इस तरह तशद्दुद का इस्तेमाल ये कहाँ से जायज़ है और इससे हासिल क्या होगा? पिछले 35 साल से तो हम ये देखते आए हैं, लेकिन जम्मू कश्मीर में कुछ नहीं बदला।
The Chief Minister says not much has changed, and of course it was after a long drawn-out period that elections were conducted in Jammu and Kashmir. Now there is a new government over there, and now we have this big terror attack that has taken place already. Mr. M.M. Ansari is joining us. He's former CIC and interlocutor on Jammu and Kashmir. Mr. Ansari, always a pleasure getting in your perspective on all matters related to the state. The significance of this terror attack, that it was on non-locals, and the fact that an infrastructure project has been targeted.
Yes, it is very unfortunate that when we have had a very free and fair elections and the new government has formed, and at the time when all the development activities have to be expedited and has to be taken at a larger basis, we have seen such an attack, and that is very much discouraging, and it is very much unfortunate. And this has happened in the whole year. I think it is the 4th or 5th some such attack, and it was done at a time and at a place where it was not expected. So what is important at this point in time is to ensure and make it our insurgency operations more effective. We have been making all the attempts in the last 10 years or so when the central government has the total security control. But incidentally, now the police is not under the Chief Minister, so again the whole responsibility of the security arrangement rests on the center, and the center will have a larger and the bigger responsibility to ensure that there is a peace and also the development process takes place the way it should be taken up in the Naya Kashmir.
I think this is an ideal arrangement, as it were, that we don't have the government of the day in charge of security arrangements to be able to deter attacks like this. Is this all right, or do you think that's a factor why we have an incident like this today? Mr. Ansari.
Well, I think in the first meeting itself, the government has taken a decision to recommend to the center to give the statehood, and that I hope in due course of time it will be granted. But in the meantime, what is disheartening is the kind of operations that has taken, I mean the terror activities, that is impacting the entire development process. You know, but for many technical reasons, people have to be brought out from the outside, and if some such things happen, many of the technicians and the workers coming from outside Kashmir, they will be very much reluctant, and many of the contractors, they will find difficulties in bringing you know, the technical and professional workers to carry out all kinds of development activities. And as such, as you know, in Jammu and Kashmir, you know, for 3 to 4 months the season is not that good in terms of weather because of the snowing and all that. So this is the best time, 6 to 8 months, when some such activities could be taken, and if it is interrupted, then the entire morale, entire development activities and the entire efforts that will get affected, and then the benefits of free and fair elections and the forming its own government, that also will be badly affected. So what I see is that there has to be some more concern about our security arrangements and also improving the insurgency operations, and at the same time, while the governments have not been talking of with each other, as we know that the Pakistan itself, after the action, the Government of India action in August 19, they withdrew all the what we call the foreign relation operations, and the embassies were downgraded. Yes. And we also have not been taking initiative because we have been saying that the terror and talks cannot go together. So in such an environment, one doesn't know. At the same time, the sponsored terrorism from the outside has been coming on.
Correct.
And this we have been seeing, and there is no effective
so,
control
Mr. Ansari,
on those.
in that case,
so, we need to really look at it at both the aspects.
How does this vitiate the investment environment that Jammu and Kashmir needs to create now if it has to come out of the historical problems that it's had with terror?
Does affect the investment, the cost of investments, the unit cost will go very high, as you know, because the activities will be taken for 6 or 8 months, and at the same time, any contractor who is going to carry out these activities will be affected, and the investment will not be able to pay out as much as it should. So therefore, I think we need to still work on two fronts, that is tightening our security arrangements, at the same time trying to see that the interferences from the outside are contained either by the dialogue process or whatever we want to do, because we don't have to tell the Government of India as to what they should be doing. But if we really want to reap the benefits of democratic processes which we have carried out, if we want to reap the benefits of the recent elections and the formation of the government, and also proceed ahead in giving the statehood to the state, we need to really rethink how to contain the insurgency process. And to some extent, I see that as it happens, it is a kind of guerrilla war that is taking place, because there is outside interferences, but at the same time there is a local support coming from those people who are still jailed, what we call the political prisoners. They are there, and they have their own sympathizers within the Jammu and Kashmir who would be carrying out some such operations. So we need to really look at the whole peace and development process afresh, particularly in the context of the recent formation of the government.
How does this raise a question, Mr. Ansari, about the credibility of Washington as well to be able to contain this kind of warfare?
Well, that I think has vitiated the whole problem, because our own foreign policy, where the Prime Minister has gone on to say कि हम घर में घुस के मारेंगे. Now you see what is happening, and the kind of news that we receive from either Canada or from the United States and you can say the Five Eyes countries. So now if we see the Kashmir issue in the perspective of what is all going on from the Five Eyes countries, I think this is very much disheartening at this point in time.
This could have a bearing on India's claim to the UN Security Council?
Well, as far as the Security Council, I think to my mind, I mean, this is my personal observation, because there is a US resolution on the Kashmir issue, while the UN itself has been silent for a very long time, but at the same time, we also see that the UN observers are sitting on both the sides, of the LOC. So it may be impacting while India has become the temporary members earlier, but becoming a permanent member, I think that may come in the way, because these Five Eyes countries will also be considering the whole issue. So this, I think, will make our task difficult.
In terms of the ability of the state now to get its infrastructure projects up and running, there is always the prospect of terror that looms large over the state. By way of the onus that now falls on the government of Jammu and Kashmir, how tall an order do you think it is for them to push through the development agenda for the state?
Well, it will be very difficult, either to attract domestic investment or from the foreign investment. Because in my interaction with some of the countries which are investors in India, they are concerned about it, because unless and until there is a peace in the entire region, they would not like to carry out either the NGO activities or any other development activities. But when we look at it from our own domestic perspective, we have seen that even after the abrogation of 370, we have not attracted much investment except those of the government investments. The government investment are going on and it is very high, but at the same time some such terror attacks will adversely affect it. But to see that there are private investments in some such environment, I think any investor putting in its own private resources and expecting some reasonable profit from those projects, I think it seems unlikely, and I think many of the investors who raise funds from the private sector will not be risking up in taking up some such projects in Jammu and Kashmir unless and until they are assured of their returns on the investment. So it is in this context what I feel is that we were expecting that our foreign minister, when he visited very recently Pakistan,
yes,
he would
SEO
be
summit.
Doing something on this front, but he was he was very bold enough, and he said that, look, he repeated that the terror and talk cannot go together,
terror and trade cannot go
Pakistan
together.
to take
Indeed.
initiative, and sadly I see. And we see that there is no initiative from the Pakistan side,
yes.
and we also do not take initiative. So how do we go about it?
That's right.
And absolutely, even what we had the little trade before 19, even that economic trade has also vanished.
Yes.
So at this point in time, we are at the lowest level of for foreign relation, and we need to look at it from both the sides. Both, as I said earlier, that we need to initiate the dialogue,
yes,
with all the neighboring countries, including Pakistan, and at the same time, our efforts to to ensure insurgency operations are tightened and made much more effective, strategic. That should continue. Only when I think we can expect a better investment in the state.
That kind of environment needs to be created, and for that you've listed out the ways to be able to go about it. Mr. Ansari, it's always enlightening having you on our show and getting your perspective on all things related to Jammu and Kashmir. It's a pleasure having you with us tonight as well. Thanks very much for joining us.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.